Ferrari, Maserati, Lamborghini. When you think of expensive sports cars, these are the names that come to mind. So I was thinking, what about the Mercedes AMG GT? How does that compare? Fortunately, I got an email a couple weeks ago from a guy here in Philadelphia who has one, and he said, "You want to drive my AMG GT?" Yes, sir. Yes, I do. So I've been driving this car around for the last hour and a half on some great back roads, and I've quickly reached a conclusion. This car is criminally underrated. For more of my thoughts, click the link below to check out my column on autotrader.com/oversteer. Right now, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. One of the reasons I think that people don't quite give this car the credit it deserves is they think that Mercedes makes boring old sedans for boring old men. But that's not quite true with the AMG GTS. This car, under the hood, has a twin turbocharged 4-liter V8 that makes 500 horsepower, mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. The result is 0 to 60 in something like 3.3 seconds. That's hardly a boring old sedan for boring old men. So you're thinking, we've been down this road before with Mercedes, with the SL65 AMG. They just stick a huge engine in a car they already have, and there's no balance. The car is all engine. But that's not true with the AMG GT. This is a true sports car, and I'm going to show you what I mean. We'll start up front where the AMG GT has brakes. Lots of brakes. 15.5 inches of brakes. That's like an Acura Legend wheel of brakes. There are other sports car touches on the outside too, like this giant wing, and these huge rear exhausts, and this aggressive low front end treatment. Urgh. So you're probably thinking, fine, so it looks cool on the outside and it has a big engine, but isn't it just some old man Mercedes on the inside? Not exactly. You'll note, for example, the ultra-firm, tightly bolstered Porsche-style sport bucket seats. The steering wheel isn't some ultra-boring all-leather Mercedes affair. It's finished with stitched Alcantara with a flat bottom and ultra-tight shift paddles. Unlike in a typical Mercedes, the wide array of buttons in the center don't control massagers and ventilated seats. Instead, there's a drive mode selector where you can choose race mode. You can turn off the traction control. You can dial up the suspension. You can put the car in manual mode. And my personal favorite, you can turn on the exhaust. The exhaust, you might be wondering? Yes, the exhaust. Here's how it sounds merely at idle. And here's how it sounds not at idle. Folks, there are only a few Porsche 911s in the world that sound like that, and they all have small block Chevy swaps. So now maybe you're worried. I've bragged about this car's sportiness for the last couple of minutes, and you're thinking, have they left out all of the luxury and interior details that make a Mercedes a Mercedes? Not quite. It has all those things too. There is, for example, this bizarrely high-resolution backup camera. There's the insanely good Burmester audio system. There's the navigation system, which is fun to play with. And then there's the rest of the standard fare, like dual zone automatic climate control, high-end leather on virtually every surface with cool accent stitching, a highly useful giant screen in the gauge cluster, and even a light for the visor mirrors. So you're thinking, well, they got the engine right, and they got the styling right, and they got a few interior bits right, but it's a Mercedes. How good could it possibly drive? Well, that's the best part. Wow. Man, this thing is absolutely wildly fast. Wildly. That is truly some unbelievable acceleration. I'm actually surprised when I floor it that the car has only 500 horsepower, especially because I know it's actually a pretty heavy car. It weighs something like 3,500 pounds. But they've done an amazing job getting the power to the ground, and as usual, the dual clutch transmission in this car is absolutely amazing. Yes, I would prefer a stick shift, but I'm driving this car for a couple hours on a Saturday. I want to floor it and be amazed, and I'm flooring it and I'm amazed. The handling is so sharp. The steering is light, but not that light. It's not like there's vagueness. It's not like you're like, where's the front end of the car? It's actually pretty good. You want to go somewhere, boom, you're there. And it's not twitchy. It's not twitchy like my Viper is. It's just good, which is better than twitchy. Something else I like about this car, you don't get a lot of points and stares. Some people like that. I like it to an extent, but it's nice to be able to drive something that's fun and exciting and awesome without having to explain, oh, it's a Ferrari, here's what it costs, here's what it looks like, here's what I paid for it, here's what I do for a living. You know, we can't trade at a gas station. It's nice to just be able to drive sometimes. Man, the downshift. Oh, God, the acceleration on this car. The cool thing about this car and the engine in this car is the torque seems to be available right away. In a Ferrari, you have to really work for that torque, which is fun in its own way. But if you want something that you just put your foot down and you go, this is a car where you can put your foot down and go, and you go. God, the handling is just amazing. Anybody who crashes this car, I gotta ask why. Because it doesn't want to get squirrely, and there's no body roll, there's no drama when you turn. It's just a really good sports car. If you crash this thing, you gotta be going about 50 miles an hour over the speed limit. Any car that has the ability, and a 911 has this ability, and not many cars do, any car that has the ability to cruise around town like a normal vehicle and also rip up back roads and put a smile on your face is one of my favorite cars. And this car has that ability. Man, this is an amazing road. I'm out here in Westchester, Pennsylvania somewhere. This is just a tremendous road, and this car does it so well. The handling is just phenomenal. Get going from the stoplight. Yeah! Unleash! This is insane! I should know, the owner of this car told me he's had a Ferrari 430, he's had a few Maseratis in his words. He told me he thinks this is the best driving car he's had. And I totally understand why. I was honestly expecting it to be floaty or heavy feeling, and it just isn't. It's a really, really well done, underrated, purpose-built sports car. I'm really, really impressed with the AMG GT. In other words, the AMG GT ticks all the boxes. It's an excellent true sports car and a luxurious Mercedes at the same time. And the best part is its price is pretty reasonable. It starts at only $130,000, which, although crazy, is pretty reasonable when you compare it to competitors like a well-optioned 911 Carrera S or an Audi R8 or a Maserati or a Ferrari. And so if you look at this thing and you think to yourself, I'm not going to get a Mercedes when I could have a Ferrari or a Maserati or a nice Porsche, I would just ask you one question. Why?